Hello! I'm so nervous. I don't know why I'm so nervous to start this. Welcome to the Ignite Mind, Body, Potential podcast. My name is Taylor and I am the founder of Ignite. So if you follow me on social media, you will know that I launched Ignite EDA back in December, which was a call that you could join either with your camera on or off, and we were having some really good discussions about disordered eating, essentially looking at EDA as Eating Disorder Anonymous. It was such a good call. It was so nice to meet some of you and talk deeply about some of the things that you were going through, some of the topics you were struggling with, and it felt like such a passion project and a really good thing to be doing. But as it was on a Sunday morning, not everyone could make it, and I had this kind of idea to launch a podcast instead. So you can join, obviously, whenever you have time to listen. You can just listen to it on Spotify, Apple, watch it on YouTube, and still feel that same sense of us all being together. So yeah, we've got the podcast now. I can't believe it. I've been actually putting it off a little bit filming this because it feels like a really big new thing, and I just kept putting it off. And I think the reason I was putting it off as well is because there's some things that I really want to open up about and talk about in this first episode, which don't feel easy to talk about, but I also feel like I need to talk about them for my own growth, for my own stepping into this next higher version of myself. So I'm going to be really vulnerable in this podcast. I'm going to talk about things that I hope relate to you, not necessarily completely specifically, but that you can transfer to areas of your life and really help you through growing. Because going through your 20s, but going through any period of your life, there's just constant change, constant challenges, constant growth, and every time you level up and you think that you've reached a new level, you have some kind of mental boundary, some kind of limiting belief that you didn't even know you had, that you're trying to unlock and work through. So I really hope that this podcast will be a safe space for me to open up about the way that I'm handling and working through things, and hopefully help you as well. So where I had some of you joining the Ignite EDA call, I'm really hoping that this podcast can not only just be myself speaking, but maybe to have some of you on as well, to open up and talk about your own experiences and things that you might be specifically struggling with one week that would help someone else who's listening. This Ignite community is so strong and we're working through some big things. Even in my one-to-one coaching, we're working through some big things, big limiting beliefs. So let me just explain who I am, what we're doing here, and then we can get started. So Ignite embodies all things mental and physical well-being. Through this podcast, I really want to encourage you to work through your limiting beliefs, setting boundaries, and becoming the most authentic, best version of yourself. I have my one-to-one coaching where I help predominantly women work through disordered eating, help them with their nutrition, their training, understanding their limiting beliefs, and really just, becoming the best version of themselves. And I really want this podcast to be just another way that I'm able to do that. I'm going to have some really special guests, real women, clients, friends that are going to come on here and open up with me about the things that they're working through and going through, which I think is going to really, really resonate with a lot of you. This podcast is going to be a really special place where I can speak and you can speak on a much more vulnerable, deeper level and work through some big things together. I really hope that while I'm speaking, you feel seen and heard. And we are going to have a new episode every week, which you'll be able to listen to on Spotify, Apple, or watch on YouTube. So you can find me on Instagram at Ignite with Taylor or at trainwith.taylor. And we have a podcast. I'm so excited. So I guess let's get into it. Right, I've got my cup of tea. I'm set up. I think I'm ready to start. This first episode, I've also got my notes that I'm going to be using to make sure I don't miss anything. So this first episode is a welcome to the Ignite podcast and an introduction to who I am, which I've gone through. And in this first episode, I really want to open up about grief. It's something that I guess I didn't realise that I was working, maybe I did. I've been working through some grief over the last year, and it's been really challenging. It's brought up a lot of emotion in myself, in my life, in my career, in my home, in my romantic relationship. Everything around this grief has forced me to... It's really hard to talk about without crying. And that's why I need to film this episode, because I need to talk about this. I believe that I do need to talk about this to move forward in my business, because this grief and this thing that I've been working through has completely formed my life, changed the direction of my life. What happened to me and the grief that has then followed has made me who I am. It's the reason that I have my business. It's my... this grief isn't my identity, but the reason that I am who I am is because of this person and this grief. And so I feel really ready to talk about it, and I feel like talking about it is going to free me from this thing that has happened to me that doesn't define me. This person and this thing that happened to me doesn't define me. The way that I respond and live my life and move forward from this big thing that's happened to me is what will define me as a person. So it's a big thing that I want to talk about. I really want to talk about opening up about grief, reconstructing my idea of love, trusting again, differentiating manipulation from love, understanding where my responsibilities start and finish, feeling safe and exhausted, and understanding that this person didn't have the tools to heal, but I do. And I think that although this very specific thing that has happened to me may not be something that's happened to you, speaking about abusive relationships, whether that's romantic or someone in your family, is a really big thing. And I think that you can be in an abusive relationship with yourself, you can be in an abusive relationship with a parent, you can be in an abusive relationship with someone that romantically, with even a friend or a sibling. So I really feel like talking about this is just going to be this thing that has happened to me is the reason that I had a disordered relationship with food, which is then the reason that I ended up having unhealthy relationships growing up, which is then the reason that I joined the gym, which is then the reason that I found the law of attraction and decided that I was going to change my life, that I was going to start to value myself, love myself. That meant that I was then going to start a business which is encouraging other people to value and love themselves. Every single thing that I have done with my life came from this bad thing that happened to me. So I'm ready to talk about it, and I'm not going to keep it in or be ashamed of it, or try and tell myself that's not grief, or try and tell myself that's not something you should speak about, you should keep that to yourself, you should just... because it's a big thing that's happened to me, and it's a very, very big thing that's happened to me, and I'm ready to talk about it. And now I need to decide how much I want to say, because it's such a vulnerable thing. Oh, I've got a lot to say. Okay, so I'll start with Christmas 2021. I met Liam in September 2021, and I lost someone in December 2021. Now, this person didn't die, and I think that for me, to grieve the loss of someone who didn't die because you have chosen to grieve the loss of someone who didn't die because you have chosen to move forward in your life, to value yourself so much more than this person has made you believe that you're worth, is a huge thing. So this person is no longer in my life. I no longer have a relationship with this person because of their actions, because of how they've treated me and others around them, because of how they have made me feel, because of the generational trauma that they chose not to heal from. And I think that one of the biggest foundations of my business of Ignite is helping and enabling my clients to heal from their generational trauma, to understand the limiting beliefs that their parents, siblings, elders, family have placed on them. We are not born thinking that we're not good enough. We're not born believing that money doesn't come easily. We're not born believing that our body is unattractive. We're not born believing that food will make us fat. Like, all of these things that we truly believe will happen to us or won't happen to us, or that we're not worthy of having, every single one of them come down to either a parent, a sibling, someone that your parents were friends with, social media, marketing. All of these limiting beliefs have been formed from the people around you. The fundamental underlying message in my business is understanding your limiting beliefs, creating affirmations to overcome them, and moving forward in your life. So for me, I got to a point where I had to end the cycle and say, no, you don't get to be in my life anymore because you didn't have the tools and chose not to heal from your generational trauma, but I'm going to end the cycle. And I have to understand that. And I truly believe that when we come into this world, we choose our parents for a reason. And I am quite spiritual, and I really do believe that we choose our parents for a reason because there's a lesson we need to learn. And every single time that you find yourself feeling like something's not possible for you, or you're not good enough, or you're not going to be able to go and start that business because the money won't come, all of those things that you want to do but you believe that you can't are the things that you were supposed to overcome on this earth. So all of those blockages, every single one of those limiting beliefs, write them down. Those are your purposes of being on this planet, is to overcome those things. And what's waiting on the other side is just unbelievable. Like, life gets so good when you decide to overcome those limiting beliefs. Because of this person that was in my life, that I chose to end the cycle with and end the relationship with, because of the role that they had in my life, very big role, their actions and the way that they behaved and the things that they thought were acceptable to do and say and the way that they thought was acceptable to be really affected my self-esteem, really affected my ability to trust, really affected my confidence, really affected the way that I viewed my body, really essentially took the safety and foundation of my childhood and my life and just threw it away and just disregarded that for me. So what that then did as a ripple effect in my life really made me not understand what a healthy relationship should be. For a really long time growing up in my teenage years, I believed that my boyfriend, my partner, should be my best friend, parent, carer. Like, I put so much pressure on the relationship that I was in making me happy, and that person that I was going to be in a relationship was going to be my happiness and define my happiness. And I was very much that I will be happy when, I'll be happy when. I believed that I'd be happy when I was skinny. I believed I'd be happy when I was in a relationship, but I never was. I was all like, my relationship was so toxic because I needed so much from that person to complete me, to validate me, to make me feel whole, that it was never going to be a healthy relationship. And of course then I ended up picking the wrong people because what I thought a relationship looked like, because of growing up, it was just bleh. So when I met Liam and finally found myself in a healthy relationship, oh my gosh, did some things come up for me. I really sat a lot in my masculine energy, that I couldn't even let someone buy me a coffee. Like, I really was very like, if I trust a man and let him buy something for me, he will ruin my life. He will manipulate me with money. He will remind me of it for the rest of my life. He'll hold it over my head. He'll be manipulative and not very nice. Obviously Liam is not that person, and I've really had to do a lot of self-work and a lot of self-awareness to realise that actually he's not a manipulative person. He's the most generous, kind, thoughtful person, and there's a difference between being manipulative with money and being kind, supportive, caring, encouraging and loving, which is what Liam is and not what this other person is. But because I had such a strong limiting belief system that men are manipulative with money and will hold it over my head and will be so abusive, going into a grown-up relationship, living with somebody, moving in with Liam was the hardest thing I have ever had. I'd never lived with a guy before. I'd never lived with a man before. I was told, if you live with a man, he will cheat on you. He will he'll make your life miserable. He'll manipulate you with money. You'll never be happy. I was told that. So I had to completely reconstruct my idea of love. I had to communicate with Liam and tell him what had happened to me and how I'd been treated and the way I'd been made to feel and things I'd been told to believe. And I had to be really, really, really vulnerable, and I had to work through those things and tell him, you know, the reason that I cry my eyes out when you don't wipe the kitchen sides is because it triggers the inner child inside of me that feels as though she has to look after everyone and do everything for everyone. So when you don't wipe down the kitchen sides and I feel as though you don't respect me and that I have to look after you and do everything for you, and that inner child in me just falls apart. There are so many things that when we first moved in together, I was an emotional wreck. everything that Liam did made me cry my eyes out. And he was like, are you not happy? Are we not all right? And I was just like, no, I love you, we're great. And he was like, what is going on? And it's because I had no idea what it was like to be in a healthy relationship. I had no idea how much shit, excuse my language, I had with me. I had no idea. And this is why when you do choose someone to be your life partner, to be in a relationship with, that you need to have communication. Liam and I are in the best place we've ever been because I've had a year of communicating with him how things make me feel, my triggers, my grief of loss, my working through every emotion, unravelling all of the big bag of crap that I'd been carrying with me since I was like 12 years old. And then as soon as you get into a healthy relationship, it's actually, do you know what? Like, me and my sister have even said this, sometimes it's actually easier to be in an unhealthy relationship when you have been a victim of emotional abuse or trauma as a child. Because if you're in an abusive relationship, it's just an unhealthy relationship. So it's like, you don't realise that you're the unhealthy person. Does that even make sense? Like, when I've been in a bad relationships with people before where they've been the problem, they've been the, again, emotionally abusive because I'm repeating patterns in my life, it's actually been easier because I was just like, oh yeah, here we are again, like I'm with the bad person. I wasn't the problem. As soon as you get into a healthy relationship and you realise that almost you are the problem because you are carrying so many limiting beliefs that you have to face them front on because Liam is a healthy partner, then it's like, I'm the problem. Is it me? Am I the problem? So, and I'm really glad I didn't allow, like, I'd got to a point of self-awareness where I was able to identify the fact that I hadn't dealt with a lot of things. So I was able to speak through them with Liam, and I was able to work through them, and I was able to understand why I was feeling so triggered, and he was able to understand why I was, and he was able to think about his language around me, and I was able to rationalise and realise that actually, no, that's my inner child that's feeling really this way, and I can say that to Liam and he's going to understand that, and we're going to work through it, and now we're in a really, really, really good place. I'm very rarely triggered. I still cry all the time. I'm just an emotional person, but not in the way that I was, where if he would do the smallest thing, I would fall apart and literally be in my mind like, well, how are we going to be in a relationship? Like, how is this relationship going to work? And he'd be looking at me like, what? What are you on about? So I had a lot of work to do through there. And I think that also one of the big things about coming out of an emotionally abusive relationship, whoever that's with, when you do get into a safe place, so when we moved in together and I felt safe, I was so tired. I was so tired. Like the whole of January, February. So we moved in together in September of 2022 and we were just busy, getting used to living together, dealing with all of this like emotional stuff with losing that person in my life. January 23, February 23, I could not stay awake for a whole day. Like, I was having to have a nap every day. I was absolutely exhausted. I didn't have the energy to do anything. I had to literally stop my life because I was decompressing from going from being in survival mode for so long to then being somewhere safe with someone safe, having dealt with all of the grief, having worked through all of the, well, obviously I'm still going to be working through stuff forever because you never stop working through stuff, but understanding myself, having those really difficult conversations with Liam. I was so tired. I couldn't bring myself to do anything, and I was thinking, why am I so tired? Then I realised, I think I read somewhere, once you get into a safe place after being not safe and in survival mode for so long, you're just going to be really, really tired, and you need to give your body like time to just settle and then move forward. And really only like March, April of this year have I started to have my creativity back and started to feel a bit more myself again and started to move forward with my business and start projects like this, which I really feel like I'm ready to do. Before I met Liam when I was 27, and I started going to the gym when I was about 24. So I'm going to talk about my recovery from an eating disorder another day in like a whole episode. But I decided I wanted to recover from my disordered relationship with food. Started going to the gym. 3 years later, I meet Liam. Even when I met Liam at 27, I could not go a day without wearing makeup. I wouldn't even pop out to the local shop without makeup on because I didn't believe that I was beautiful without it. I mean, now, like, I literally no makeup on. And since I've been with Liam, I've been in a healthy relationship where I feel like I can be myself. I joke sometimes. I look at myself in the mirror at home and I'm like, what happened? But I'm the happiest I've ever been, not because Liam makes me feel happy, but because I make myself feel happy and he gives me the space to be myself. Because I've been in relationships with people before that would comment on the size of my boobs throughout the month, like if my weight, because your boobs change throughout the month, and at certain times of the month, like comment on how small they are, or tell me that I look ill without makeup on, or like this person that's not in my life anymore told me that I looked ill without makeup on and that I had legs like a rugby player, and it always like made me feel so insecure. It made me feel so like so believed that that was true, that when I then told Liam those things that that person had said about me, his reaction was made me just think like, oh yeah, that's not right. Those things, like, they're not true. But they were limiting beliefs. I truly believe that I looked ill without makeup on. I mean, I'm not, maybe I do. I know, I don't. I'm not gonna wear makeup every day. This is what I look like. This is my face. This is who, like, this is what I look like. You without makeup, that's your face. That's what you look like. Yeah, I know it's nice to put a bit of makeup on to perk yourself up, make yourself feel a bit brighter and nice about yourself. And when I do put makeup on, I feel like, oh, bright, nice. But I'm so glad that I don't have to wear it all the time now. I really am. The other thing about ending an abusive cycle of a relationship, whether that's a family member or a romantic person or a friendship, is understanding where your responsibilities start and finish. I believed that because this person was related to me and because of the role that they had in my life, I believed that that title gave them a power and that I should keep them in my life, because I believed that, I guess it was somewhat my responsibility to help them not be that person, or to think, oh well, they weren't that bad today, or they've been all right this week. They didn't make me feel bad about myself this time. But no, because if you have someone in your life who has chosen not to deal with their own crap, and even sometimes puts that on you, you have a responsibility to yourself to set those boundaries and not allow that person to have a space in your life and not allow that person to enter your space. Like, I don't have this person on any social media. They aren't able to text me, they aren't able to email me, they aren't able to call me, they aren't able to post anything to me. They don't have any access to me, because even allowing someone, let's say you've ended an abusive relationship but you keep following them on Instagram because you kind of want to know what they're up to, or you don't block their number because you quite like every now and then them messaging you and you thinking, yeah, they still think about me. I was just like, no, you do not have access to me anymore. You have hurt me, you've let me down, you've took advantage of your position and your power in my life because of the title that you had, and I was a child. You don't get to contact me anymore. You've had multiple opportunities to fix the damage, to work on yourself, to be better, to take responsibility, to apologise. When things came to the end of this relationship and I said how I felt, and this person just chose to act as if it hadn't happened, as to almost like, let's carry on as normal. No, let's not, because you're a grown-up. You're a grown-up. You need to take responsibility. And so no, don't allow people to continue to have access to you, even in just a little way, to avoid, oh, I don't want to cause a problem, like let's avoid confrontation, like I'll just keep them in my life a little bit, or I kind of have to because they're this person, or I kind of have to because they're that. No, you get one life. Like, you get one life. Do not give anybody, what's the quote? Nobody is entitled to any more of you than you are willing to give. Remember that. Nobody is entitled to you for any more of you than you are willing to give, for any longer than you're willing to give it for. Don't let them make you believe that you've been over dramatic, or the way that you feel is over the top. That's another really big thing that I had to work through, is how you feel is how you feel. Nobody's allowed to tell you, I didn't make you feel that way. That's gaslighting, that's abusive. You did make me feel that way, that's how I felt. And that just leads me on to, you have to understand that that person didn't have the tools to heal, but you do. Set your boundaries. Believe that you're worthy of everything. You are worthy of everything. And take responsibility, because I was a victim in the situation, because of how that person treated me, because of how that person behaved, because of the things that person did. But I still have a responsibility to not just be the victim and be like, yeah, that person did that to me. So let's say I went into my healthy relationship with Liam and said, yeah, that person did that to me, and that's just why I am the way I am. Deal with it. Then I wouldn't have the relationship that I have with Liam, because I can't then become the abusive person, or the emotionally unavailable person, or the snappy person, or the over-emotional person, and then just say, yeah, but it's because of what I went through. Just doesn't work like that. Like, I could still have my eating disorder, because I could spend my whole life just saying, yeah, this person ruined my life, they gave me my eating disorder, they're the reason that I never started a business because I didn't believe in myself because of them, they're the reason that I never made any money because I didn't believe I was worthy of earning money, I now don't have a healthy relationship because they stopped me from believing I was worthy of a relationship. Like, you can see how easy it is to let one thing that happened to you define you. You can see how easy it is to let one person project their limiting beliefs on you, and that define your whole life. Every single thing that you have in your life, your job, your relationship, your home, your car, pets, clothes, the body that you live in, the way that you eat, the things you drink, every single thing in your life is built on limiting beliefs. Every single thing that you have is what you believe you're worthy of. So the mobile phone you have, the clothes you wear, the condition your hair's in, like the way your body looks, is what you believe you're worthy of. Can't even tell you how healthy my hair is since I decided that I was worthy of being healthy and having nice hair. I can't tell you how good I feel in my body since I decided that I was going to feel good in my body and going to feel beautiful. I weigh more, but I feel so much more beautiful. Never thought that was possible. The job that I have, the money I earn. Since I cut this person off, my income has like times by 3 every month. The things that I'm planning to do right now in my life with the person that I love, in the healthy relationship that I'm in, never would I have had if I didn't decide that, yes, this has happened to me, but I will not let it define me. I'm going to take responsibility. I'm going to be a healthier person, healthier in my mind, my body, and I'm going to reach my potential. So, yes, bad things happen to us. Yes, people project their insecurities and their limiting beliefs onto us. But no, are we going to let that define the rest of our lives? I'm so proud of myself for deciding that I deserved more, for setting boundaries. And I know that because of that, I'm going to look back on my life and have no regrets. Because I never ever wanted to be that girl that looked back and thought, I wish I'd worn that pretty dress when I was young. I wish I'd gone to that event. I wish I'd spent that day enjoying myself and laughing instead of wondering whether my stomach was rolled while I sat in that chair. I wish I'd gone on that holiday and just run on the beach in my bikini and not sat on the sun lounger with a little like cover up on, thinking that everyone would be looking at me if I did that. Liam and I went on holiday last month and I am still working on my self-confidence, but it's the first time I've ever just run on the beach in my bikini and not cared and consciously said to myself, you are worthy of running on this beach in your bikini. No one's looking at you thinking that you don't look good enough, which I truly, truly believed for the longest time. I wouldn't even walk from my sun lounger to the swimming pool because I didn't believe I looked good enough. I was too self-conscious. I don't want to look back on my life and think, I wish I'd just taken responsibility for that and worked through that. I wish I just believed in myself a bit more. I wish I'd just not put makeup on every single day just to go to the local shop. I wish I'd just enjoyed my life and just set myself free. I feel like I have just freed myself from so much crap. So that's why I'm now launching the podcast, to really talk about what Ignite means, what it symbolises. It symbolises me freeing myself from generational trauma, from limiting beliefs, and living my life. My life. Mine. Thank you so much for listening today. I feel like it was a little bit of a sticky start because it's still hard to talk about and it's still such a big thing that I've been working through and that's happened to me. To end that relationship, to start that new chapter, to take responsibility of my life. But I feel like opening up about it is just further freeing me from everything that I've been through. Thank you so much for joining and listening. I really, really hope that you take something from this episode and that you come back next week. And yeah, have the most amazing day wherever you are, whatever you're doing. You are worthy, you're enough. And I'm sending you loads of light and love. I'll see you on the next episode. Make sure if you're watching this on YouTube, you give it a thumbs up and subscribe. And if you are listening on Spotify or Apple, absolutely love for you to subscribe on there too. And I'll see you next week.